Today, we're going to talk about burnout to breakthrough. Have you felt it before where you're burnt? You don't want to keep going. You don't know why. Or maybe you don't even know you're burnt out. Maybe you just recognize you're procrastinating a little bit. You're not following your own systems. You are, I don't know, finding ways to be creative avoidance. Hello. If you have been there, today what we want to talk about is what do you do? How do you go from burnt out to breakthrough? And what does that look like? Welcome to Referral Roadmap. If you're ready to stop chasing clients and start attracting them through meaningful connections, you're in the right place. This is where we turn relationships into revenue, generosity into growth. Each week, we're going to explore strategies, stories, and my favorite, step-by-step actions that help you build a business fueled by referrals and relationships. Your next breakthrough starts right here. So let's go hit the road together. I'm excited to talk about this today. We don't have a guest today, Jada, but I'm going to go deep into this because, girl, I know what burnout feels like. So today we want to share that. We thank you guys so much for being here. But Jada, let's go a little bit deeper. Give us a definition of what burnout looks like and what we're going to really go over today.
Yeah. So burnout doesn't always look like, the crashing. It often looks like going through the motions, losing your spark, or just even dreading the work that you once loved. It's sneaky. And if you ignore it, you're going to rob yourself of the potential of your peace. So in this episode today, we're going to be calling it out. You'll learn how to recognize the signs of burnout before they take over, how to rebuild your energy, your mindset, and systems so that you can come back stronger, not just functioning. His
Mm.
breakthrough doesn't come from, pushing harder. It comes from getting real, resetting, and rising with purpose. And for y'all listening today, I might sound a little funny if you're used to listening to our podcast. It sounds like I probably have, a frog in my throat or something. But we're pushing through. We got some throat coat tea and we're making it today. So
Yes.
I'm
Talk about
gonna
breakthrough. Jada needs a nap. She's
I,
got this
I
story.
actually
She
took a
sounds
nap
like a
yesterday.
yay. So she's got a frog in her throat. But thank
I
you so
do.
much for being here anyway, Miss Jada. Woohoo.
Oh, of course. Thank you guys for being here listening.
Absolutely. And hey, we do want to say that we are so excited. Um, oh my gosh, we are on, you guys, season 6.
Mhm.
Oh,
We're
I mean,
nearing the
this
end of it. That's crazy.
I know. So we're so excited. We know that we know just from the feedback that we're getting that this is making changes in people's lives. So I want to thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe. We don't get paid anything. I'm just telling you, it's not about that. We want you to do it so it gets more exposure. And please, 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 if you do anything, share it with a friend. The information that we're giving here can change a person's life or their business. And we want this information. We're doing this for free to and make impact. So get this information out to people. But today, obviously we're talking about burnout. And I thought, you know what, Jada, I just want to come clean and really talk about what that really looks like. And you guys know I'm pretty transparent, especially if you follow our other podcast. That shit doesn't define you, Stories of Hope. I'm really transparent there. But shameless plug there for that other podcast, which is awesome as well. But what does burnout really look like? I think that, and you said it in the description, and I really want to say this. It doesn't always look like depression. It doesn't always look like I can't get out of bed. I can't function. I mean, it can look like that, but it doesn't always look like that. I think actually, if you get to that point, you've gone a little beyond burnout, right? I mean, that's what I really want you guys to hear. But what it can look like, and maybe you have felt this way. But what it can look like is memory loss. What it can look like is you're just not as taught on your tasks. What it can look like is more mistakes. What it can look like is you have brain fog. What it can look like is you just physically don't have the energy. Another thing that it can look like, and by the way, I'm saying all this from personal experience and I'll give you a story, but the other thing that it can look like is you sitting at your desk at work and you find yourself dazing off. Like you can't focus. And you are like, where am I going? What am I doing? These are all signs that you are what I like to call crispy on the edges. Okay. Crispy on the edges means all of those things are happening and you're a little burnt. So I want you to recognize it first of all. And a lot of people, a lot of people say, well, work through it, work through it. There are times where we have to work even though we feel a little crispy. I'm going to say that. I wish it wasn't the case. I really do. But I will just tell you, and I have his permission. I was going to do it like a third party story and not tell who this person was, but I've got his permission to tell the story. And my husband is literally working through burnout. And I would love to say that he has the ability to just stop and recuperate. He can't. Um, so he has to learn coping skills and abilities while he's going through what he can't stop. Now, let me give you some backstory if you guys don't know. So, my husband is a 100% commission salesperson and has been for, um, I don't, since 2012. So, however, we're in 2005. So, a hot minute. That is not everybody's cup of tea. He does a lot of work that he doesn't get paid for. There's a lot of things that he does enormous amounts of work, and other things are outside of his control can take away his paycheck. So that's not a position a lot of people want to find themselves in, but he is that person. High stress, right? I mean, we're talking that's high stress. He doesn't get fed unless a lot of things fall in place. So, and I see fed, I mean that he doesn't get a paycheck. So imagine that. Now, couple that with a person who um, has literal PTSD from combat and somebody who has PTSD from childhood trauma and a gentleman who also has a child with severe special needs who's going through extreme difficulties. And so put all that on one person's back. You got you a little burnt out. And unfortunately, he can't take vacations really because, well, one, the economy is a little bit trickery. And so he needs to stay focused, but also because of his home situation with his daughter. And so you think of all that. And by the way, this is one person's story. I know there are people listening and you're in the same situation. I know of single moms. Hey, you wish, right? I wish I could take a vacation. I wish I could just say, hey, I'm done. I'm tired. Right? There are just times we can't do that. And Jerry's in one of those times. And you can physically see him. He's aged. He is tired. Like you can physically see his tiredness. And he's an introvert and he is not what I would call a triple A personality like he says I am. He is somebody who actually requires to get more rest and quiet in order to fill his cup. So think about somebody like that. He can't stop working because he's paid on commission only. I mean, he can't, just say, hey, peace out. I don't want to be a dad to this child. And he still has to deal with, even though he has dealt with it, he still has to deal with the monkeys on his back from past experiences. Can anybody relate? Right? I wish there's this whole theory out there right now, Jada. I hear it a lot. I don't know if you'd call it a theory. You could correct me. I'm probably saying this wrong. Maybe an ideology or a thought process that if life isn't easy, then it's not living well. Or if something is, I hear people say, well, if that's triggering to me or that's hard, then I shouldn't do it. I'm the wrong generation to say that to. First of all, I'm the wrong tree to say that to. My husband would be the wrong tree. Look, you guys, to really achieve things in life, sometimes you're uncomfortable and sometimes you have to do things that are hard. And sometimes we have to live life that is a little bit complicated. And so I don't really think that's real. I think that if you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and you're growing and you want to achieve, you're gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna hurt sometimes and you're gonna feel this burnout. Okay. Now, I'm not saying forget burnout, always just go through it. What I'm saying is sometimes there are times where you physically can't get out of the burnout stage. And my husband is in that situation. And frankly, I'm in that situation. Um, so what do you do, Jada? What do you do when you're in a situation you can't change it? And I really want to speak here. I know this is a business podcast, but I want to speak to this. This is something people don't talk about. I went to a conference and I spoke to a room of 80 moms that were moms of children with special needs. Well, by the way, I think in that room, 100% of them worked. 100% of them worked. I'm going to tell you, those are some of the most tired people I have ever met. Now they're burnt out. They're burnt out. They're still working. They're caring for their children. And many of them are single because there's an 80 plus divorce rate in families with children with special needs. Okay, that's one segment. We have other people that are going through all types of other circumstances, divorces or things outside of your control, illnesses, all types of things that you know, come into your life. Some things that we create with our own cray cray, and some things that just life is. So when you're in that situation, how do you have breakthrough? When you can't just hit pause and say, hey, life, stop. I need a vacation. I need to not feel this for a second. How do you have breakthrough? And that, when we go through the rubber meets the road, that's what I want to talk about. Because I have to sit down and I talk to my husband about this often, is how do we still live life well? How do we have breakthrough? How do we still achieve what we know that God has put on our hearts? How do we keep showing up every day to do the things that we know we're supposed to when frankly, we wish we could hit pause and take a vacation? Okay. And that's what I want to talk about. Now, I will say there is a line for all of my therapy friends. There is a line. You have to learn how to do coping. But there is a line where you have to say, I have to take a break. I have to take a break. And so if you don't know what that is, if you're going through something right now and you're like, Athena, I don't know if even these coping mechanisms, these strategies will work for me. If you're that burnt, if you're beyond that, please seek help. Okay. I have done it. My husband has done it. I want to tell you, go get help. Because this is a business podcast. Your business is only as good as you are. Okay. If you can't think correctly, you're not going to make good decisions. If you can't stay focused, you're not going to be as productive. If you guys get it, right? I mean, we have to be on the ball. But I'm also going to say, please give yourself some grace. Okay. Just this is this is part of that story of my husband and myself both living in this. Within the last couple of weeks, I literally found myself, Jada, this is crazy, like leaving cabinet doors open. I mean, I walk into a room, I'm like, why is that cabinet door open? Like, why do I keep leaving the cabinet doors open? And I realize I'm like, you need rest so badly that you're leaving. I mean, just randomly, you're forgetting. uh, What a random thing, right? And I'm like, but it's a sign. It's a sign.
Mhm.
It's a sign. And so you'll see those little signs where you're like, what am I doing? That's not normal. Or, you are like, why did I walk into that other room? And it's not because of age. You just are like, I know I walked in here for something. Those are all signs, right, that you might be a little bit tired. So I want to share some strategies that today that Jerry and I are using to stay sane in a situation that frankly is complicated. If I hear one more person, and matter of fact, I don't want to hear this. If I hear one more person say, I don't know how you do it, that's not helpful. Hey, that's not helpful. Don't say that to your friends. Here's what I'd rather you say. How are you doing it and how are you taking care of yourself in it? How are you doing it and how are you taking care of yourself in it? And allow them to tell you their strategies. Allow them to tell you. This weekend, I it was a 3-day weekend, and you guys, you know what I did? You know what my strategy was?
What
Mm,
was it?
Sleep.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, "Are you going to a barbecue? Are you going to a party?" And I'm like, "No, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a nap every day. I am going to go to bed as early as possible. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to give myself some grace for some sleep. And that's what I did. So sometimes you just got to prioritize rest and sleep.
Well, and then what did you get told at our, team meeting this morning?
That I looked refreshed, right? Now, 2 weeks ago, the same person, like, you look ragged. Okay, nice. But anyway, all this to say, I guys, you know what I'm talking about. You've been there. You're experiencing the same things, and I just want you to know that I get it. Sometimes you can't stop. So what do we do when we're in the middle of it to prioritize ourselves so that we can prioritize our businesses? And how do we get our focus back, make less mistakes, stay productive, even when we're a little bit we're burning out a little bit? And how do we recognize it? That's the other piece, how do we recognize it? So, as we do, always, I know Jada, I know my story was kind of all over the place and it's not as good as when we ask other people questions or you ask me questions. But I hope you guys understand that my husband and I are in the middle of the fight. So maybe if I sound crazy, that's why. Um, so Jada, any facts that go along with this? And then I'll go a little bit deeper when we go into the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, definitely. There are some facts, but as you were talking, something that just like was popping in my brain, whenever, especially when you were talking about how, you're forgetting to close the
Yeah.
cabinet doors. Literally is almost like your brain is going into like conservation mode. It's like, I've done the bare minimum that I needed to do in here, and I cannot put any more like thought into anything else. It's so,
Crazy. Isn't
it's just
that
fun.
crazy?
Uh-huh. It's funny, just like the way your brain is like, I must protect all energy at all cost.
Yes.
I have
Well,
such little amounts of it.
yeah,
So
doors everywhere. Anyway,
yeah, but yeah. So going back to like the actual science, that was just
yeah.
something funny that I thought about. But according to a Deloitte workspace burnout survey, they found that burnout affects 77% of professionals at some point in their careers, and over 50% say it's ongoing. So I just want to stop and say that is why what we're talking about today is so important, because 50% of people that are in the workforce right now are currently in a state of burnout, and 77% of people have said, I've experienced burnout at some point in time. So, where the rubber meets the road and where Athena is going to talk about today, that is why we're talking about that we think this is just very important. And so, just wanted to stop and talk
Yes.
about why that stat is so important. But moving on, the American Institute of Stress found that chronic stress without recovery reduces productivity by up to
Mhm,
68% and increases your decision fatigue. So, burnout doesn't just make you tired, it really shuts down your ability to lead, to sell, and to grow.
mhm.
You can't outwork your nervous system.
No. No, we
Mm-mm.
cannot. And this is where can I just stop? I mean,
Yeah.
Jada, this is where people think that sometimes they're complimenting me by saying, "Oh, you're superwoman." That's not a compliment. It's not a compliment.
Mm.
I'm not superwoman because I'm not. And I have to recognize that I can never want to own that. I think that's the point. You know what I mean? We don't want to own the cape in order to just keep putting ourselves in this chronic stress, chronic burnout, but yet I have the cape. Forget the cape if it's going to kill me. You know what I mean? Or make me less productive. So I think it's important to, I know I'm taking over here. I apologize, but I think
No,
it's
it's okay.
important people to, persevere and have grit and all of those things. But at the same token, we need to stay productive and we need to care for ourselves. And so that, 68% decrease
Yeah.
in productivity, that is a lot.
Hmm.
That's going to affect your bottom line. I mean, that'll affect your bottom line right there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And the last study I found was a Harvard Business Review study that indicated that creating structures such as time blocking, prioritizing your recovery, and limiting your task switching can reduce burnout symptoms by up to
Mhm.
40%. So, burnout isn't always just fixed by taking a weekend off, it's healed by building systems that are going to protect your energy every
Yeah.
single day.
Amen. I cannot express that enough. I love that. I love that you guys know I love some time blocking. And I love some
Shameless plug.
prioritizing. Yeah. But anything that helps us reduce our stress by 40%, Athena needs that information. My hubby does, and I'm sure our listeners do too. Um,
Mhm.
I really like that. You know what? That gives me some hope that systems can help when the chaos
Mm.
doesn't stop.
Absolutely.
I mean, that gives me some hope. I know, my faith is always gonna be there and he's got me, but some systems are practical. And so I just wanna as we hit the rubbers meet the road, I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into him today because this is so important to me. I know what it's like to live burnt out and tired, and yet have a lot of responsibility. And so I want to teach you what I know. I'm telling you, I need to be hearing this too. So please don't think that I've got this mastered. It's something that I'm very much working on. I watched a documentary yesterday on on The Biggest Loser, that show. Now, being somebody who is, plus size, I was like, well, that's an interesting documentary. I'm going to watch that. And I'm not going to comment one thing if I like the show or not, or the documentary even. But one of the things about the documentary that really got me is that many of the people who struggled with their weight, which I have my whole life, w- one of the things that they said is when they got to go on the show and they got to go to the Malibu camp or whatever they called it, they were like, "Well, it was so easy." Not easy, but easier to lose the weight because you didn't have the outside pressures, right? You didn't have all the things stressing you to cause you to do the behaviors that maybe made you less interested in working out or less interested in making the right choices. Now, I'm gonna say I can say all of that to myself, to somebody who struggled with her weight her whole life, genetically, emotionally, all the things. And I told my husband, I said, what they're saying, I identify with so much. And this is my mantra for last year and going forward. I will take care of myself in the middle of all the storms. I'm going to stop saying when the storm stops or the chaos stops or the stress stops, then I will care for self. I said, I am proving to myself that while Savannah is sick, I'm 10xing a business, keeping another business stable, doing nonprofit work while I'm doing all of that, ailing father, that in the middle of it, I'm going to continue to do the behaviors that put me first and do the right behaviors. You know why it's so important for me to do that? It's important for me to do that to prove to myself I don't need the chaos to stop to succeed. And I want you guys, as we're going through this, to hear this. I know there are circumstances where you can't get yourself out of the burnt out situation. If you can, fabulous. If you can't, I get it. And I want to give you some practical things that you can go through today so that you can find out that you can actually find rest and peace in the middle of the chaos. Like I am finding health in the middle of the chaos. And this is, I call it a leveling up. It's a level up for all of us. So here's some 4 steps, you guys, I want to go through with you. One, call it what it is. Let's call it let's be honest. Let's take the cape off. Take the cape off because you need to give yourself permission to heal. Burnout isn't laziness. I want to say this. If you are a productive person and if you're an entrepreneurial in sales, leadership, or you own your own business, I'm going to guess you're not lazy. Or you're not going to work. It's not going to work for you. But um, what you need to do is name it and say, you know what? I am tired. I need to get rest. Um, You don't have to earn it, by the way. That is something that has been very difficult for me, is feeling like that I had to overachieve to such a great extent in order to earn the ability to rest. Um, Jada in her psychology degree could dissect that for the next hour, but why I feel all of those ways. But I will say, let's give ourselves permission. Let's give ourselves permission. So let's call it what it is. Give yourself permission to heal. Tell yourself, you know what? I am burnt out. I am doing those things. I do see some of those things happening. And I want to do the things that give me energy back. I just talked about this last weekend, and I had 3 girlfriends reach out to me and want to hang out. And I said, no. I said, I love you. I would love to see you. But I know what I need this weekend. And what I need is to curl up with some books. I need to take naps. I need rest. I need to not talk as much as possible. And they were like, "Oh," you know what they were like, "I'm so glad you're prioritizing yourself. Good for you." Right? And it was okay. It was absolutely okay, and so I want you to think about that. It's okay to say, "I just need rest." And even if you're like, "Athena, that must be nice." By the way, I was still taking care of my disabled daughter all weekend. So I get it that it's not like, I got to go read for 3 days straight. It didn't
Mhm.
happen, but I did finish a whole novel, just saying. So, you give yourself permission and call it what it is. Don't call it laziness. Don't judge yourself. Give yourself some grace. Come on, it happens to all of us. Number 2, start with 15 minutes, okay? 15 minutes. If you can't take a vacation, you can't take a spa day, something like that, then schedule 15 minutes. There are breathing exercises you can do 15 minutes in your office. You can write something if you want to. You could journal. One of the things that I personally am learning is I used to get up and go to at 5 in the morning and go to the gym. And although I still like going to the gym, I found that getting up at 5 and going outside in nature and walking for 50 minutes in the morning, gosh, Jada, it has been great for my soul.
Mm.
Great for my soul. Yes, it's great for my, my physical activity. What
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate is how great it was for my soul. And so I do that before I go to the gym to, lift weights because I love the gym and that's good for my soul too, but not like going outside.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying everybody's got to go outside. What I'm saying is find that thing. I'm like, now if I don't go on a walk in the morning, I'm like, oh, I missed that walk. And so this morning I'm glad I missed the rain because I had to hurry back before the rain started. But what you want to do is look and time block 15 minutes a day. Give yourself and give your nervous system a break. And by the way, if I can encourage you, do not scroll during this time. Do not use your break scrolling social media. Use it to calm your brain down. Pray, meditate, be quiet, go outside, whatever you need to do, but give yourself at least 15 minutes a day. Um, Really critical. I know 15 minutes, you can do 15 minutes. Number 3, you guys, choose non-negotiables that fuel you every day. I just talked about that walk. By the way, I didn't know before I started doing the walk that it was going to be that powerful. But there's something about, well, now that the time's changed, I liked watching the sunrise, but now it's dark even when I get back. So I'm like, oh well, dark to dark. However, 3 non-negotiables, and they don't have to be, hey, you guys, it could be small. Could be, hey, I'm gonna get all my water in today, every day. It could be that I'm gonna pray every day. I'm gonna read my Bible every day. I'm gonna go outside and take my feet and rub them in the grass for 5 minutes every day. Pick 3 things. Make them a law for yourself. Okay, this is how we take the Harvard study of giving us 40% of our burnt out energy back. These are how we do it. 3 non-negotiables. Mine is sleep. My bedtime's my bedtime. Turn my phone off. Like it's time for me to go sleepies, right? And so it's so funny because I get texts at like 10 o'clock at night. And so I so want to at, 4:50 in the morning or 5 text back. But I'm like, I'm in bed. But think through it, you guys. Think through what is actually going to refill your cup and put those things in your day. Now, don't stress about them. Don't make you more stressed. What are things that you can actually get into your day? Okay. Laughter, by the way, if there's something that makes you laugh, do you know how much energy laughter gives you?
Oh
So
my,
if
a
there's
lot, probably.
right, so much. So if there's something that makes you laugh, go with that or someone who makes you laugh. I have a girlfriend that if I want to laugh, I just call her up because I will be laughing. I just know it. You know her. She will make you laugh. She just makes you, she's so happy. She makes you laugh. All right, you guys. Number 4, build systems that carry you when you can't. Okay. This is where you want to create routines. We talked about in the science, the systems and tools that protect your focus. Time blocking, I know I talk about it, but time blocking is one of those things. Anything that you can automate, anywhere you can automate things to take them off your list. With AI and a lot of new technology, there's a lot of automation options right now to take minutia off your place so you can focus on the things that you need to focus that can help you stay productive and fresh. Team support, call out to your team. Know know that you can reach out to people when you're just absolutely, "Hey, I need a break. I can somebody help?" And this one, you guys, this is something that a system that we need to talk about, and that is the word no. Okay? Make sure that you're not burnt out because you're saying yes to everything for emotional reasons, not for productive reasons. So I know no can be a difficult word, but no is a boundary for yourself. I just told you about how I said no to my friends. These are women I love. And one of them, I haven't seen her in a month, and she's one of my best friends. But I needed rest more than I needed her this weekend. And that's crazy, right? But I did. Now, I've already scheduled, I'm gonna see her Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. So I'm gonna see her. But no is important. You've gotta know what you need, and it's okay to say no. Women, if you're listening, we struggle with that more than men. So women, really start asking yourself, what am I saying yes to that's taking my energy away that I really could say no to? The other thing is structure isn't resistance. So systems, we talk, Jada and I, you have to have systems in sales. A lot of people think that sales is mysterious. No, it's science. Business is systems, it's science. Guess what? Your health is science too. Your body and brain need systems. Your body needs to know what it needs, what it should expect every day and understand, hey, we're going to start the day this way, end the day this way. This is what's going to be expected. The more systems you put into place for your body, the better it performs and the less it's on edge. Okay. So really think about what is my body system. We talk, Jada and I've talked about your bookends. What is your morning routine, evening routine? This is that concept so that your brain knows, okay, I'm starting, I'm stopping, I'm starting, I'm stopping, and I know what's expected. You guys, they sound easy. I'm going to tell you, like anything, they're hard to stay consistent at. So start working on these. Choose one thing, right? Here's your challenge. Choose one thing that you're going to carry out that's breaking you and just put it down. What is one thing that you're like, you know what? Today I'm going to say no to this, or today I'm going to build this system, or today I'm going to ensure this entire week I go to bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. I don't know. Whatever it is, what is that thing that you need that will give you some energy back where you are burnt out because the world needs your productive, healthy, vibrant self. So say no, ask for help, counsel something, take a nap. Take a nap. Do it without shame because breakthrough doesn't happen when you just push harder. Okay. I'm all about grit, right? But you need to take care of yourself. It happens when you finally give yourself permission to breathe and build again from a place of strength. So, really important. I hope you guys heard this. You're not alone. And I would love if other people have great ideas to help in the middle of, climbing the mountain, other ways that we can take care of ourselves. I'd love to hear your ideas as well. So, Jada, let's just say everybody's listening is going to go woosah and have a break. But what's next? I know we've got some other episodes as we're wrapping this season up. I can't believe we're wrapping this season up.
I know, it's kinda hard to believe that we're already wrapping this season up. They're so fun that they just fly by.
I know.
But honestly, what's next is if you're listening, go to the link in our show notes. You will be able to download our season 6 resource guide. It has some goodies from all of the episodes, up until this point, and then we have 2 more episodes before we end the season, so if you go ahead and download it now, you will get a little sneak peek at the next 2 episodes. Other than that, do not forget to like and subscribe so you can join us next week as Athena brings some real talk and real strategies with our special guest, Kyle Draper. We'll see you next week.
And thank you guys for being here.